Because sometimes I really struggle because I don't like calling professionals dude. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why I have like this is sat rent free in my head since high school. This was back when we had like the first principal.
Hmm.
I forgot his name. I don't care what the fuck his name is. Uh, I was in his office for something because I was a fuck up. That's the reason I was in his office. Because I was a fuck up. Uh, and I
Dang, what was his name? Now you got me. God dang it.
and so like what ended up happening was I referred to him as dude because I was a teenager in the early 2000s. The fuck do you want from me? Or the mid 2000s because it was like 2004. Uh, that's early 2000s. I'm tripping. It's early 2000s. Like, and I called him dude, and like I didn't say it like Michelangelo or nothing like that. I just said it like
Were
as
you? Was it the principal or the vice principal?
no. I know the fucking vice principal. No, it was the dude who got
Was
fired
it?
for. It was the dude who got fired for cheating on his wife.
Nobody got fired for cheating on their wife.
Okay, well the dude got fired for fucking in the school. God damn you, bro. Let's move past it. It's not relative to the story.
I'm trying to remember their name.
Yeah, I know, but it's not relative to the story.
I remember his first name. It was
Point
Matt.
point was the way he replied. I guess he took offense to me calling him dude because like he threw it back at me because I think he said well dude and I was like all right fuck off. Like that was my like it mentally that's where I was. Like I was like oh
Don't
you
forget you were black.
huh oh
Don't forget you were black.
I do tend to forget. But in my heart of hearts, I was like, I didn't know it at the time, but I was like, this is going to scar me. This is creating a scar. Like this moment will be a problem for me for the rest of my life. Like this is going to sit in my head for the rest of eternity. And yeah, like he has just created a problem for me, and I didn't know it at the time, but like, and I'm telling you, all these years later, I still remember that moment. And I was like, I didn't dislike you before I came in here. Now I don't like you.
Mm. I have an issue with like titles and things like that. Like I didn't in high school. Like all of the teachers were like Mr., Miss, Coach, whatever.
Yeah.
But I realized that like when I got to college, and specifically when I got into a fight with a professor I had freshman year, and after that, like it was something I realized because after that year, she actually became my advisor, and she had a PhD. Therefore, her official title was doctor. But I never once in the entire time that I was her student referred to her as doctor. And it was like a matter of respect thing. Because that one time I felt like she disrespected me, and I was just like, F you for all of those 5 years. I never even called her Miss. I would just refer to her as, hey.
So what did she say that made you feel disrespected?
Oh, we got into a fight, like just straight up, like knockdown, drag out fight because she was wrong and I was right.
No, hold on. Let's clarify for anybody who's listening. He clearly didn't mean a physical altercation because like he made it sound like he threw hands with this bitch.
I was on the verge of
Because
because
he'd still be arrested. He'd still be in jail because he's too big to be
yeah.
hitting people.
Um. So like I was sick and I was out, which is rare. Never get sick, but I was out of class for a week, and she gave us like midterm grades, and during the week, even though I was out of class, I was still doing the homework, but I missed the quiz. And I sent her a message. I sent her an email, and I looked at my midterm grade, and I was like, "Hey, is my grade like the way it is because I missed that quiz?" And clearly, she did not. She wasn't paying attention. She skimmed it, and so I went to her office like when I was back in class, and I was like, "Hey, you never like replied or anything," and she started telling me that I had said all of these things that I didn't say. And if anyone knows that I don't like being lied on, it's you.
Yeah. Like,
And
oof.
and that's what happened. And it didn't end well.
Hold on.
So I
I would
was like,
I would like to point out this is also a black thing. This is also a black cultural thing. Look, I can't speak for white people because I ain't a white people. But black people do not like to be lied about. We will do some messed up stuff. 100%. Do some real messed up stuff. And we get caught, we got caught. But when we didn't do the thing you're swearing up and down that we did, we already know we didn't do it. We could just leave it at that. We could just leave it at like, nah, I didn't do that. Like, I don't have to continue this conversation. But that's not what we do. Like, we get very angry and we will sit here and argue with you for an ungodly amount of time over the thing that, like, you claimed we did that we didn't fucking do.
yes. And we know, or at least you know firsthand, I am a nerd.
Noid.
I do not play about school. I don't disrespect my teachers. Like, I don't. It's not a thing I do, but she freaking pulled it out of me. And she was telling me that I had been sending her these emails saying that I wasn't in class, so I didn't understand the homework, so I wasn't going to do it.
I
And
don't.
I was like,
Hold on. Does she understand how emails work?
oh, exactly. I told her no, because I did the homework, I submitted the homework every single day. I asked you if the quiz was the reason my grade was the way it was. And she just wasn't. And I was like, okay. Like, we were going back and forth for like an hour in her office out after class until she finally got to the point where she was like, I have to leave. And I was like, that's fine. So at that time, she wasn't my advisor because I was still a freshman, so I had a freshman advisor. So I left her office, walked all the way across campus to my advisor, who I did not have an appointment for, waited outside until she had time, went in, told her everything, and then forwarded her every single email that we had. And I was like, handle this. And then a few days later, she comes back and she's like, okay, so I looked at your grade. Turns out the quiz was the reason that your grade was like this, so you can do a makeup next week. And I was like, yeah. So literally since that point, like by the time I graduated, like we were cordial, like we had a relatively good relationship, but I still never once, because I don't forget.
No, I'm not letting it go.
I'm petty as balls.
Petty,
Like
Petty
never
Murphy
once
out in these
referred to
streets.
her by Doctor, Mister, or Miss. I never even called her by her name. I abbreviated her name, or I said, "Hey, lady."
I don't know how else. I don't know how else to like to look at that. Like, cause like I understand exactly what you're talking about because this is how I feel about my nephrologist. Um, so if anybody's been paying attention to this two
Yeah,
hour long,
you have no respect for me. I have no respect for you. Two-way street.
like it's kind of like that, but I think like it's not necessarily he doesn't respect me. I don't think he respects. I don't think he respects his position. So while I was in the hospital, one of his patients died. A lady who was going to the clinic. My uncle's sister-in-law died. Um, and like I was in the hospital because like he's kind of not good at his job. Like the nurses there, like when I tell you, like when it comes to the doctors, like pardon anybody who's hearing what I'm about to say, nurses suck doctors' dicks. Like they're like the cure for AIDS is in it. Like when I tell, okay, so when I had my surgery, like it wasn't surgery, but when they put the new catheter in, the nurse that was in there with the surgeon, after he put it in, it was this older white lady. I swear to you, she praised that motherfucker like he was the second coming. She was like, oh, very good job, you know, like nice and clean. He did really good. And this bitch ass nigga was like, oh yes, like always. And I was like, fuck both of y'all.
You know they do that after every surgery.
You know they do.
That's what they do, and then they go to the nearest closet and get
It,
busy.
and I'm saying like she was older. She wasn't like 35. Like she was clearly in her like 60s. At least that's what it sounded like. And it just drove me like it didn't make me mad or anything, but it was awkward. And I was like, is anybody else in the room hearing this shit? Like, is anybody else hearing this? Like, his job was made easier by another surgeon, but like, nah. And I was like, yeah, so like, I understand exactly what you mean. So like, that's why also while I'm in the hospital, another patient of my nephrologist, who isn't the surgeon, another patient of my nephrologist is having a bad go of it. And when I say that my nephrologist isn't really good at his job, although that's what I was trying to say. I got sidetracked. He's very knowledgeable about what he does. Like he's very knowledgeable about kidney stuff. But like the thing is, he needed to understand that he doesn't like keep track of what we have going on as patients. So like
Patient care is not his number one.
No, not at all. Like he just looks at the numbers and that's about it. And so it's completely plausible that what happened was for me, he wasn't looking at the numbers. There's a thing called third spacing, and it happens in some dialysis patients, like kidney failure patients, where basically you end up like retaining so much fluid that your body doesn't know what to do with it. So instead of it being trapped in like your fat cells and in your bloodstream, what ends up happening is it like wedges itself into a different like in between layers of like tissue, and dialysis can't remove it. Like that's what happens. And so that's what happened to me. I was in the hospital because when they laid me down to do the procedure, the fluid basically flowed into my lung cavity and my lungs couldn't inflate. So like he should have known what that was on the table, because like they weigh you when you come in and you go out. And the same goes for this. Her name wasn't Lisa, but Lisa. Like she was doing bad. And he's there once a month. And his nurse is there once a month. So every 2 weeks you're seeing somebody from his office. And when I tell you like these motherfuckers just aren't paying attention. They're not like, you know, like, hey, what's going on? Like, let's look at these numbers. And like, yes, it's on some of the patients to acknowledge it, like, hey, I'm not doing so good, or I don't feel this way, and the third. But a lot of doctors have a bad habit of not making it sound like they fucking care. And so, when I got out of the hospital, like, I'm gonna be real, like, I'm like, what I'm about to say is very like snarky. It was intentionally snarky. When I got out of the hospital, and like I happened to get back to the clinic on the day he was there, and I was like, and as I saw him, I was like, of course, that's my fucking luck. And so, and so what ends up happening is he comes up to me while Taylor, who is going to be the new person that I pick on, I think, because she's the only other young person there. But let's be real, I like SpongeBob because she was black. She was black and young. So like I felt comfortable talking to her. So he's so like I don't have a nickname for her. Taylor is like putting me on the machine, and he walks up to me and he's like, "Hey man, what's going on?" That's how he talks. I shit you not. That's his voice. So what's going on? How you doing? Heard you ended up in the hospital. I was like, yeah. Like, what happened?
You know, all I ever hear when you do your impression of him is just Miller.
Wild. Because his dad goes to the clinic.
I know, but like that's literally what he sounds like.
Like I couldn't even begin to remember what Miller sounds like. So he's like, yeah. So like, what happened? And my response was, I almost died. That's all I gave him. Because in my head, I'm like, motherfucker, what were you doing? I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. Two
You're
fucking
a
weeks.
doctor who can get medical records because you are specifically my doctor,
You
so
are my
you could have known what
nephrologist.
was going on,
Like,
but you didn't have enough care in your pinky finger
you
to
didn't give a
even
fuck. You didn't give a solitary
because he doesn't
fuck.
get paid by the hour. Okay, like it's as simple as that. He
So
gets paid whether he sees y'all or not.
like I'm telling him like what happened, and I'm giving him the short version because like I've been fucking telling this story for like the past 3 or 4 days, and like the fact that like he had to ask like the nurses and stuff who work at the clinic, them not knowing doesn't surprise me. They've got shit to do. 6 days out of 7, they're at that clinic working with patients. They don't necessarily have the time. It's like even the head nurse, Morgan, like when certain people saw me come back to the clinic, their response was, "What the hell happened?" like the look on their faces when they saw me was like they saw a dead person, and they were just like they were like really excited, like they were happy to see that I was alive, but they just couldn't fathom what went wrong. It was like, you were just supposed to have your catheter put back in. And I was like, yeah, it turns out there was some shit going on. Now, the whole third spacing thing, turns out we had our, like, my kidney health advocate, who was a lady who lives in fucking New Jersey, had, like, kind of pieced together that might have been what was going on with me because of the complaints I was having. So she was in the process of trying to find me a way to get it diagnosed and then have it taken care of. But the universe said, that's going to take too fucking long. Let's do this instead. And hospital. I'm gonna do like a whole like tear down of like what happened, like of what happened at a later date. But like as of right now, I'm like no. So it was so like I told him what all happened, and when I tell you like, it never felt like he was like, ah, damn, this is bad. Like he never seemed like I told him basically like I had put on more fluid than we thought. And like it seemed like all of of my complaints were because of this. At no point did he think, okay, we gotta like be sure to like be extra on top of your fluid management now because because I've been paranoid as fuck that like this shit might happen again. Because when I first got out of the hospital, like in 2022, and I started coming to the clinic, I was still hurting. Like my back was still fucked up, my knee was still fucked up. All the excess fluid that was in my body, they didn't get it all out. They got it out this past time. And I know they got it out because like my back doesn't hurt anymore, my knee doesn't hurt anymore. Like my body has regenerate, like I'm back to normal for the most part. I still can't really walk because like I was out for like 4 days. Out meaning I was like on the ventilator, like the respirator. Like, I was intubated for like 3 or 4 days. I didn't move for 3 or 4 days, and like the muscles in my entire body just straight up got weaker. And apparently that's common. And I have underestimated how difficult it would be to get that strength back. It's very hard because like walking, I look like a toddler learning how to walk.
Yeah, that's why physical therapy exists.
Yeah, and I still ain't got it. I've been out of the hospital for almost a month. And it's why that's why I say like time
Did
is.
they tell you they were going to set you up with it?
That's the thing. Like in the hospital, like yeah, they were like these are the things that like you're gonna need, blah 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 blah. But the problem is my primary care place is shitty as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
So like on top of like me like not to being on top of like calling up there and making an appointment, I never got an appointment made. Like cause my the Friday I got out, I spoke to my my health advocate, and she said that she would look into trying to get all this shit, set up. And the problem with this lady is I keep telling her, like, call me when I'm at the clinic, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Call me when I'm at the clinic because I don't have anything else to do. And she keeps fucking calling me on days when I don't go to the clinic. And she calls me in the morning, and I'm like, I'm trying to sleep. I'm not answering the phone. Stop calling me call me when I tell you to call me. So anyway, so like that stuff needs to be set up through my primary care. Like on top of that, like I need to use oxygen again because for whatever reason my fucking lungs just don't work. I have seen a respiratory doctor, a pulmonologist. For whatever reason, I always think pulmonologist sounds like a heart doctor, and I think because it sounds like pump, and I see the heart as a pump, that's cardiologist. But I've seen a pulmonologist, and he straight up said, "I don't know why your lungs don't work." He's like, on paper, there's no reason there's no reason for your O2 to be the way it is. There's no reason for you to need to use oxygen. Your lungs clearly work. But fucking difference does it make? Like my O2 sats are shit. Like they just aren't good. So like right now, I'm sitting in my bedroom with a fucking cannula up my nose, and like I don't have it on all the time. Like when I go to the clinic, I don't take like a canister with me. But seeing my primary care and telling them, hey, I need to use it stinks. I need to use oxygen like on a regular basis. I'm gonna try to get a portable concentrator instead of having the fucking tanks. And hopefully at some point, like my lungs will like rebound or whatever the fuck, or we'll figure out what the fuck is wrong with my lungs. But either way, that dude, like I don't give him the time. Like when I talk to him, I'm very short. Pause for laugh. And like I just give him straightforward answers. I don't desire to talk to him. Like I really, really don't. Like I don't enjoy talking to him. He kind of sucks. Because like that feeling of like you're my doctor. You are the guy who is in charge of my kidney health. That is your job. When I got out of the hospital because of a kidney related problem, you were like, what happened? And I just can't help but think like, motherfucker, how do
you... Oh god, that's freaking Miller. Miller's an idiot.
It's like, how the fuck do you not know what happened? It's like, because I'd imagine like I was in the hospital for like 2 weeks. So either he never came to the clinic in the time I was gone. Are you okay in there? Okay. Because I didn't know what that noise was. So like I'm assuming like the clinic called him and told him, hey, here's what's going on. Like Martin's in the hospital. And he was like, oh, okay, well keep me updated. Like that's about it. I'd imagine that was the best he got out of it. And so like the hospital, I talked to them, like the hospital in Poplar Bluff, they called the clinic and told them what happened. When I ended up in St. Louis, I called the clinic and told them where I was. They could have gotten the information. Hell, they could have called they could have did a chain of events. They could have asked the EMTs, where did you take him? Called that hospital. They would have told them, oh, we sent him here. Called that hospital, and they would have been like, this is what happened. We sent him here. And then called that hospital to see, like, hey, what's his status? Like, it wasn't hard. Like, I made it very clear to everybody, like, because the fucking clinic gave the EMTs, like, a stack of papers on me. Like, my medications and all that shit to, like, give to the hospital. So, like, every hospital I was at had paperwork on me from the clinic, which had their name and phone number on it. So when I say like, yeah, this dude might be real smart, he's a shit doctor. Because doctoring isn't just, it's not just knowing things. It's also being good at like taking care of your patients and making sure your patients feel good. Um, and like he wasn't really good at that. And so Taylor, when he walked away and he was like out of earshot, Taylor said, "That man gives me the heebie-jeebies." And without missing a beat, I
thus,
said,
thus the new friendship was born.
like, and the reason man, I'm gonna tell you, I'm like, when I finish this, I'm gonna tell you what happened this morning. And so I didn't say, I didn't have to question it. I knew what she meant, and I said it's because he's so robotic. And she's like, yeah. She's like, the way he talks is so devoid of all emotion. I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah. And she was like, and she's like, and he doesn't pay any attention because he said that your blood pressure was good, but your heart rate is like 120. Like he doesn't really pay any attention. And I was like, you know what? All right. It was like I like that you're paying attention, like that you act like, because again, like some of the nurses there is like, oh no, Dr. Bain's really really good. Justin Bain, his name's fucking Justin Bain. There, I'll and what? This is my personal experience with my nephrologist. Fuck you gonna do about
I
that?
feel like he probably did, did not do great at school and picked an easy specialty. Of like, come on.
I don't have an opinion on all
Because,
that.
I mean, I say this because I know, like, this is kind of what happened with Miller. Like, he became a history teacher and a coach. And now he's, like, he did that so he could mosey his way up to administration. Like, the cushiest job you can have. Like, that's literally what that guy did. It's, so I had this issue, um, and it's with white men failing up because that's
Oh,
what a lot of them do.
failing up. That boy fell
Yeah,
up the stairs.
shut up. There was only one witness, and I'm sure no one believed it.
But then you told me, so you know. Then I started a YouTube channel. So at least two other people are gonna hear this story. But yeah, I don't know how else to like fucking like look at that situation. Like, I don't know if he's a good doctor or a bad doctor. I'm pretty sure he's very knowledgeable about kidney health. Like I feel like, which don't mean shit. Like you know what I mean? It's like I'm a really good detective. I notice things, but I'm also really bad at talking to people. So like I can't tell people about the stuff that I've discovered because I get nervous. Like, well then what the
Mhm.
fuck is the point? And so like yeah, that I don't know why that annoyed me as much as it did. I'm pretty sure anybody else would be like, no, like that was a perfect reason. That was perfectly acceptable to be annoyed by your doctor asking you what happened. Now, I can tell you what happened not because I had to guess, but like after I got intubated and I woke up and then they put me on the ventilator. Again, like I'll do the whole story later on, but like I was able to like not converse, but I was able to communicate with this lady, and I asked her, "Does anyone know what happened?" Those were my exact words. Not what happened. Does anyone know what happened? And I like this lady a lot because she was like, "I don't know if you mean like does like your family know what happened to you, or like does anybody know why this happened?" So I'm just gonna answer both. She didn't ask like which one do you mean.
No, that's
It's like
proper.
say what?
That's exact. She did exactly what I would do because I'm the type of person who likes to know all
The
the information,
information. Yes.
and so I give people
All the
all
information.
the information.
Yeah. So she was like, no, like we had like so like I'm just gonna answer both questions. She's like, yeah, your mom knows like what happened. Like we called them, I called her, and she was like, and as far as like what happened in the OR, You had a lot of extra fluid on you and we didn't know about it. The fluid, like when you laid on your back, you were on your back for too long, the fluid flowed into your lung cavity and your lungs weren't able to expand. And then you passed out. And here's what I'm going to tell y'all about that. So in the OR, and I told you this earlier. I told you part of this earlier. In the OR, I was in the process of, I was on my back and then we were doing the thing and everything was going fine. Like I wasn't struggling to breathe, but I was definitely like trying to breathe. Meaning I was making sure that like I was taking deep breaths and all this shit. And they had like this thing over me. My back was aching. My like I was uncomfortable. And then what ended up happening was like toward the end, which would became the end because of what happened. I said I started having a hard time inhaling. I couldn't breathe. And I don't know if y'all if anybody listening to this has ever had a hard time breathing or if you've had asthma or whatever. But when it happens, when you can't inhale, the first thing that happens is you immediately panic. Just no questions asked, you panic. It happened to me when we were down at the house Sunday night when we getting ready to like when we came into the big bedroom. Yeah, like that started to happen. I could not breathe. Like just moving completely fucking like wiped all the wind out of me. And I think what ended up happening was like because I wasn't breathing properly, like my lungs were again not operating properly because of the CO2 or whatever the fuck. And it's possible like this shit is like it could be that I need a new CPAP machine. There could be a lot of things that are like are causing it. Like because it seemed like when I was in the hospital, like the oxygen or whatever was like doing its job. And here at home it seems like it's doing its job, but I had to turn it up a little. I don't know. Anyway, the whole point was I started like I told the lady who was like behind me that I couldn't breathe. Well, not behind me, like behind me, because I was on my back. And I was telling her I couldn't breathe. And the last thing I remember was her saying, you're doing good, it's almost over. And she patted me on the shoulder, lights out. That was it. That was the last thing I remembered. When I tell you, like, I don't mean like I slowly faded. I woke up facing the ceiling with a tube in my throat and I couldn't move anything. The only thing I could fucking move was my feet. And like, when I tell you like the long version of the story is like less interesting. So I'll skip it.
They had you like partially sedated, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, because if you had woken up able to move, you'd have freaked out and accidentally extubated yourself.
So I haven't told you what happened. Okay. Because you're not gonna watch, like I don't know when I'm gonna tell this story. And I don't know like if you're gonna be available. I'll just give you this information now. Over the course of 3 or 4 days, what happened the first time I woke up, I don't know how long it had been. The first time I woke up, I don't remember seeing anything. I don't remember if I opened my eyes or anything like that. I remember being awake. And I couldn't move my arms, couldn't move my legs, but I could move my feet. Like I could wiggle my toes. And I don't remember panicking. I don't remember anything. But I remember the next time I woke up, I could move my legs. Like, and I remember like trying really hard to like move them a lot. Like I was really moving my fucking legs. And then out. And I think the next time I woke up from a dream where I could move my arms. And like the dream, I don't remember exactly how the dream went down, but I remember in the dream, I had to tell them that I could talk. I couldn't really talk. That's a lie. That's a lie my brain told me. My brain told me a fucking lie. I couldn't really talk. but I could move my arms. And that's where it fucked up. Because in my head, what happened? In my head, what happened was they thought I had died. In my head, they thought I died. I had to let them know I was alive. That's what happened in my mind. And I could finally move my arms. So what did I do? I pulled the tube out. Cannot stress to you enough. I don't care.
The good stuff.
Like, they didn't give me any drugs. Like, they didn't have me sedated. Like, they really just had like the muscles. Like,
well, yeah, they have to. Otherwise,
I do
happens.
that. Yes, because I was like, and I don't know why they didn't just like have me like restrained. And I think Nick was like had.
Just restrain you.
And I forgot who it was. It might have been Nick who was like, because if they had restrained you and you woke up and you couldn't move, you'd have really freaked the fuck out. It was like, had you like tried to move your arms and you were strapped to that bed, you'd have freaked out. So like again, and I don't know how the rest of y'all feel. Anybody listening to this feels, but I'm going to tell y'all right now. As far as I'm concerned, God was with me the entire time. I don't care if you don't believe in God. I don't care if you don't believe in religion. Go fuck yourself. I don't give a shit. God was there every step of the way. Jesus was there. God was there. One of the two were there. And when I tell you this, I mean because like when I passed out in the OR, like immediately, like I just happened to be in a good enough hospital. They knew what to do. When I pulled the intubation tube out, everybody happened to be just right outside the room. That's what they told me. They was like, yeah, when you extubated yourself, everyone was standing outside your room door. Like, that's it. Like, everyone was just right outside.
God, all I picture is like you yanking the tube out and then them hearing you while yanking the tube out. Because I'm sure it's not a pleasant process.
I can only tell you that, like, I didn't feel anything. I could feel the tube in my mouth. Like, I could feel it, like, in my, like, throat. And I could feel the air going into my lungs. Like, I could. Like, I could 100% feel the air going in my lungs. I will say that, like, being intubated fucking sucks. I found out after the fact, like, after I got home, that, like, a lot of people who end up having to get intubated wake up with 2 missing teeth. And the reason for that is because people who, like some people who were trained, there's an EMT that I watch on YouTube sometimes. He makes shorts. He says some people aren't trained properly on how to intubate. He's like, you're supposed to put the speculum in to like get all the gore and stuff out of the way. And then you slide the tube in and take the thing out. And he said, but some people will like use the top of your teeth as a fulcrum to push stuff out of the way. And he's like, and that's a hard piece of steel against your teeth. And when they pull on it, it'll pop those 2 teeth out. And he said when he was taught how to intubate, he was taught by an ex-Marine. And the dude, he said whenever he would go around watching people like do it, and he said if he saw that steel touch teeth, he would crack you on the back of the knuckles with like this pipe. It's this thing he carried with him. He just cracked you on the back of the knuckles for this reason explicitly, because like you're going to do damage to the patient. Because like the teeth could fall into the throat. A lot of things could happen because you're literally like forcing open their airway. And so he's like, he knows how to intubate properly without like damaging the patient. But he said a lot of people it can happen because a lot of people aren't trained on how to do it properly because like, oh, it's an emergency situation, whatever the fuck. So I don't remember how it felt to pull it out. It didn't hurt. But I will say, like behind my front teeth, the top of the roof of my mouth, not the roof of my mouth, but the right behind my two front teeth. That area of my mouth, like that gum, that the inside of the gums, was numb for 3 weeks. Like I just got feeling in my mouth, like in that part of my mouth. Like you put your thumb, right behind your teeth. Yeah, that part was numb for weeks, and like the back of my throat. I don't know if it was because I extubated myself, or because because of just what happened. But the back of my throat was just raw. Like my uvula had like definitely like elongated itself.
Yeah, it had been violated.
And it felt like every time I like it always felt like there was something falling like in my throat. Like I felt like it on the back of I felt my uvula on the back of my tongue. And it kept feeling like there was something I needed to spit out, but I couldn't spit anything out.
Weird.
And so and that didn't go away because like when they finally did the swallow test, they did the swallow test before I went home. Not went home, before I changed hospitals. They did the swallow test. Um, there's so much that happened. Like I'm giving you like base shit, but like they did a swallow test, and the lady was like, I told her like how I was feeling. I couldn't talk, by the way. Like the first the first couple of days, after I extubated myself, they had to have me on a ventilator overnight to make sure that my lungs were functioning properly. And luckily they were. Like they were like, yeah, your lungs are fine. Like we can just have you on oxygen now. You're okay. And I kept telling like I couldn't talk. Talking sounded like there were certain syllables I could not pronounce. I don't know if I sent you I don't know if I sent anybody a voice message like while I was like that. If I did, I'd try to find it, send it to you because it was bad. If any of y'all have ever seen the movie Us by Jordan Peele, the way
I haven't seen it, but I know what you're talking about.
the way I forgot her name. The way Pluto and Umbreon's mom talked like this. I talked like that, but a lot less loud because I just didn't have it in me to talk. I just couldn't. So like I had to like speak very slowly. That was all I could do. Like I had to. I didn't have a choice. I could not talk properly. But yeah, that's kind of what went down. But so I told the lady like what was going on with my throat. She was like, "You mind if I take a look?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I opened my mouth, and she used her phone's flashlight to look at my throat. She's like, "Yep, that's red." Like it didn't take her long. It was like she saw what was back there and was like, "I want to stop looking at this now." You okay? Oh, well, calm down in there. You're freaking me out. And so they had to do a swallow test to see if I could eat because they was like, we don't want like you to try to like eat something and then it go down the wrong pipe. And it turns out that was what was happening. Like I couldn't drink regular water. I could only drink thick water.
Oh, oh no.
It's not that bad. It's like the consistency of milk.
No, I can't, because you already know. I've seen videos of people and they try and pour it out, and I'm just like, I can't deal with this.
Oh no. It wasn't.
Cannot.
It wasn't that thick. It wasn't like that. It was. Again, it was like the consistency of milk because it was a powder that they would use to add to regular water to thicken it a bit.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it
No,
wasn't.
like I don't
It
know.
wasn't like full on
Have you
syrup.
seen the videos of
Yes,
people with thick water?
I've seen thick water.
Oh God.
Yeah, but it was like no, it's like a powder they add to water, and so basically every time I took a sip of water, it felt like it would like go down the wrong pipe, and I would like cough, like have a coughing fit. But like the thick water didn't, like the thickened water, I should say, didn't seem to bother me at all. Like pudding, applesauce, graham crackers, those were the things that they used to see like can you swallow. Because I hadn't eaten in days, which I thought was so weird because I hadn't eaten since uh I think I hadn't eaten since the day before the surgery. And I don't remember when the surgery was. Because like all of this should happen on a Wednesday. And I think I had like the surgery was either on Thursday or Friday. I think it was on Thursday. So I hadn't eaten in like days. But I couldn't stop shitting. Could not stop shitting. Like I was in the bed and I was like they'd be like, we're gonna give you the bedpan. And so like I'd have to like, I'd have to like look here, we're adults. I had to shit in the bedpan and like it was what it was, but the problem was every time it happened, like it would like every like 30 minutes I'd have to poop. And I was like and I learned quickly that like shitting while laying down is incredibly difficult. And so this dude, Ricky, shout out to Ricky, because Ricky made life not suck that after I got off the ventilator. Ricky made life not suck. That dude is cool as fuck. Like, I wish there was a way that I could, like, reach out to Ricky and tell him thank you again. Because Ricky was like, so, like, I finally got up. And I had the TV on. Like, I didn't get up. But, like, they took the BiPAP mask off. And I was just on oxygen, and the TV was at my feet. It was like, and he asked me, like, you want me to turn the bed so you can see the TV? And I was like, yeah, that'd be cool. So he turned the bed, and like, chilling. He's like, you want to get out of bed? like you want to sit up? And that's when I was like, oh, fucking Christ, yes. Please let me not be in the bed all day long. And he was like, yeah, because I don't like being in the bed all day long either. And so, like, I'm in this chair, and I felt a lot better. And he went and he grabbed my backpack and he got my charger. I had DoorDashed a charger and some cables to the hospital before the surgery. I felt like a genius. I felt like a genius. I really did. And so he got me my phone and he got my headphones and like so to this day I was like Ricky gave me my music back, which made living through this shit way easier. But the thing was, I told him like it's just really hard to go to the bathroom while laying flat. And then like eventually I was like, yeah, I gotta go to the bathroom again. So they went and got a bedside commode, which is literally just like it's a thing with a bucket in it and you shit in the bucket. And again, I hadn't eaten in days. And I deuced like a goddamn champion. And like
it's weird. It was like your body was like, you got a break.
Cause like I was curious as to like when I was laying in, like when I was intubated, I was like, so what the fuck were y'all doing? And it's like, and I remember when I was laying in the bed, like and I was pooping a bunch. I remember thinking to myself, man, I'm really holding my piss here. Cause like every now and again I'd feel like I had to pee, but then I'd hold it and then like I wouldn't have to pee anymore. And it wasn't until Ricky like let me sit in the chair that I realized I was catheterized. And I told him, I was like, you know what's funny? And I told him like, yeah, like the entire night, I was like, man, I'm doing a really good job of holding my pee. I was like, it never crossed my mind that there was a catheter in me. But like, so I did use the bedside commode and like being able to sit up, I was able to actually poop. And like, and it was so weird because he's like, oh yeah, I guess it is easier when you're sitting up. Which means, yeah, because they, as nurses, they have to check, make sure that like we have to look because if you're pooping blood, that might be interesting for us to know. We need to know that. But yeah, shout out to Ricky. Ricky was a real one. And so like yeah, that was when I was able like to reach out to people and tell them like, yo, I'm alive, I'm here. Like I'm here.
You didn't tell me.
I messaged you though. I didn't tell you.
Yeah. You didn't tell me things. But you know what's funny is that I knew you weren't. I knew you wouldn't, and I actually told Jordan that you would. I told Jordan that your first message to me was going to be some snarky reply to something I already said, and you weren't going to say a thing about being in the
That
hospital, and
was
that's
like,
exactly what
here's
happened.
here's the thing. I knew that you knew. I knew that if he knew, then you knew. I knew that if Jordan knew, you knew. And replying to anything was me letting you know I'm alive. That's
Yeah,
what
I
that
know.
was. And I know you understand that because I'm you. As we discussed earlier, our the relationship between me and you, I knew you would understand like me kicking down the door is like me saying I'm home. Like you understood. Like
I'm scared.
it was like that's what this is. And like I didn't tell Jordan, hey man, I'm okay. It's all good. Nah, I hit him with some old Tech Nine bullshit. Like my whole point was it was just like arrive, like back in everybody's lives. Like I'm here, bitches. It was like that was what it was, and so that's what I did. Like I called my mom, and it took me forever to like to talk to her because she wouldn't shut the fuck up and actually let me get a word in edgewise, and she didn't realize that I couldn't really talk, and I had to like just tell her to stop talking, let me speak, because I couldn't talk for shit. Like my lungs, like it wasn't that I couldn't breathe. It was just like that my vocal cords was so paralyzed. I struggled.
Because they had been invaded.
Yeah, they hadn't been used. Like, and they had something rubbing up against them. So I didn't know how to fucking talk. And I was wild because when I had the trach put in 2013, it was interesting because when they capped it for the first time and they let me speak, I didn't have that much of a problem. Like it just really wasn't that big of a deal. And I do remember when that happened, the nurse who put like what it was is like so there's like the trach, which is like the little plastic thing that sticks out. There's two different kind of caps. There's a cap that just like stops air from coming out, and then there's another cap that lets air go in but stops air from coming out. So like when you would breathe in, it would go like zzz, 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 and when you exhaled out of your mouth. And so I remember she put the thing on and I started talking. Her response to me speaking was, "Oh, so that's what you sound like."
You know what? I bet she did it to everybody. She, it's not even a joke to her anymore. It's just a natural response.
Like, because I would imagine, like, in her head, she looks at the patient who can't talk and, like, asks herself, what do they sound like? Like, based on how they look, what do they sound like? You know what I mean? And I feel like, yeah, that's like for her, like, that's what it was. It was like, yeah, you
Now,
sound.
think about people who, when they come out of a situation like this, or like where they had to have surgery, and I'm specifically like really just thinking about Kathy Griffin in this situation,
Mm,
where she essentially lost her voice, like, period, forever. Like, after she had that surgery, like something went wrong, and her vocal cord was just like, peace out. Um, and like she's had multiple corrective surgeries just to try to get back to sounding like a regular human being. Because after the first one, her voice was like that really high pitched, and she was like, "Yeah, doctor said it's gonna be like this for a while," and then turns out like, "Oh no, you guys like did something with my vocal cords, like it's screwed up and like paralyzed, so like it's just not working." And so she's had multiple surgeries to even try to get back close to what she sounded like, but she'll never sound like herself ever again.
that's definitely how it's been for me since 2013. Like it's Like I lost the ability to sound like myself, in my opinion. Cause like the one thing I noticed, which this doesn't mean nothing to anybody else, but like certain Adele songs, like I used to sing like a motherfucker, and like now I just can't. Like I can't hit certain notes anymore, and I think a lot of it
Really?
has. Like I think a
That's
lot of
Julie
it is.
Andrews.
Say what?
Because that's Julie Andrews.
What do you mean?
Because you know how she was Mary Poppins. You heard the song,
Uh huh.
and Sound of Music. Like Julie Andrews had a ridiculous voice. She was like the Mariah Carey of the '60s, and she had a surgery, and it got botched, and she can't sing. Like she doesn't sing anymore because she literally can't.